Hello everybody, Sapphire Glitter here. So what we're going to talk about today is the current monopoly on the competitive scene, the current state of Blitz, as well as the atrocity known as the testing privileges for the game and the public testers. So the first thing, we're going to go on about the current state of the clans. The clans are as sits. Many of these clans have a monopoly and are allowed to be toxic to the community, straight ignorant to players, and you have to abide by every one of their rules to even enter the competitive scene. No other clan, unless you simp to these top clans, you can't get in the competitive scene because your clan's not going to have a chance, you're not going to be able to compete, and nothing will ever happen. And once you join these clans, they just get a monopoly on all top players that could potentially be competing against them. It's making the competitive scene die, and it's because currently, Pramo's been on the leader for North America server, I want to say for 5 years now. I think it's 4 or 5 years now. And there's no reason for it. I say if you're currently in the top 4 slots for your server, you need to be pretty much relieved. That's the whole thing. These clans need to be forced. You can't compete for the next calendar year if you placed. And any other clan needs to be forced to only be able to compete for 2 of the seasons for the competitive year. And then the winners of each of those groupings for Prove Your Skill for seasons, then they all move on to the cups for each region. That would make it to where these top clans can't just dominate, and there will be more teams that are allowed to actually enter and compete instead of just the same people every time. And on top of that, they need to make it to where, people can't just hop around to every clan, whatever they want. They need to make it to where this clan has to be here for at least, you need to be in this clan for 2 months, or you cannot enter a professional tournament with this clan. That would stop all the people from just sitting and waiting in clans and actually force these people to spread out. That would make Blitz much more competitive and keep these top clans from being ignorant toward the rest of the community. Because I've had so many bad experiences with clans like hated Moonmen, it's just unbelievable. I tried to make up and try to better relations with these clans, and I just got a straight F you straight to the face every single time. And it's non-stop with them. There are so many people in these top clans that are so toxic, so ignorant, and they just have no interest in dealing with anyone. Next thing, the current state of Blitz. The unrealistic requirements for some of these clans, they don't realize that there are so many players that are highly competitive that due to the forced losses you get from many teams, like there will be entire teams that just sit and spawn and actually camp in spawn, and you're the only one to ever leave the spawn area. How are you supposed to compete against that? You can't 1 versus 7 every single game. This isn't like PUBG. This isn't Call of Duty. This is a game that you are forced to play as a team. And if your team doesn't perform, you've lost. Sure, there's individual competitors in each team that perform better than others. But if your team sucks, you've lost. That's all there is to it. There's no way around it. And honestly, a team game, if your team doesn't play, you can't win. You cannot 1v7 every single game in this. World of Tanks is not just a straight, I can do it all alone. No, nobody can do that. Nobody can ever pull that off. Nobody can ever say you can pull that off. It's an impossibility, and the requirements that the top clans are setting and forcing people to meet to compete in the top competitive scene are killing the game. Then the final thing is the tester applications. Okay, now I say if you win the competitive season, if you're one of the top 4 teams for your region in the competitive season, you should be allowed to test. If you're one of the top teams in the 4-year season, because like I said previously, it should be whoever the top 4 teams for each region are for the competitive scene, and they win the Twister Cup or whatever, the top 4 placing, blah, blah, blah. they need to be allowed to test for the next calendar year. For the people who are competing during that season, like I said, it should be able to rotate. Only 2 competitive participations per year before the Twister Cup. I say, when you're on that off rotation, if you won that first one, you need to be able to test for the next rotation and till the end of the season for that rotation. So basically 2 seasons you get to test, and then your clan loses privileges unless you want it again. That would definitely make it to where the monopoly on the tester status isn't held by these top clans that refuse to let anyone in. And on top of that, the tester applications need opened again. They need to take all of the tester applications and they need to open up the apply system again on the forums. Because currently as sits, you can't just have the top, 16 clans, 15, 16 clans, and they're the only ones allowed to test. No, there's no reason for that. Because these clans are ignorant to people, and they're just going to hold on to these slots, and you have to simp to the people to get into the tester slot. There's no way around it. So say the requirements, I believe, were 50% win rate and I think 10,000 battles. And I think you had to play at least, I don't remember, I think it was like 500 games a month, I want to say. 500 games in a 30-day period, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that. Don't exactly quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what the requirements were. So the tester applications have a valid range in which people would be allowed to test. And I can imagine there's a lot of people who would want to test and put in on the test. There are so many people who would love to be super testers that don't want to participate in the competitive scene. And everybody who's currently in the testing right now is forced to be on the competitive scene, or you're not allowed to test. That would make it to where the top clans get bonuses for actually participating and doing things, so all of their members get to test. And as well as that will also allow Wargaming to pick and choose, hey, all of the active, really active people on the game will be able to test and give Wargaming feedback. Content creators, etc. And these people will be able to give Wargaming feedback on these tanks that they're trying to test, and I say it will honestly be more balanced than the current system of only locking in the top 16 clans to be able to test. It would fix so many things in Blitz. Honestly, just give some of these things a thought. Hit me back up in the comments. Come talk to me on the Discord. Doesn't really matter. But honestly, these are just a few of my thoughts on Blitz. It would really help the Blitz scene, I say. This would definitely improve the game in every aspect. I'm trying to look out for the player base here. I'm trying to find ways to improve the game. I know Wargaming isn't that great on listening based off of what Meadsy, Pantoof have said. Wargaming doesn't really listen too much. But honestly, I'm just saying these things would probably change the game for the better. Sapphire Glitter out. Take my opinions into thought. I mean, entirely opinions, speculations. Give me your own thoughts. Hit me up in the comments. Sapphire Glitter out.